If you find yourself rolling your eyes during a horror movie when someone goes down into a dark basement for the umpteenth time, you are not alone. Or how about that guy who inevitably suggests, hey, let's split up when exploring the killer's lair?
This isn't right, we should split up.
Why do movies keep using these tired and boring cliches? Where do these terrible ideas come from? And are there any other silly situations that drive you into a murderous rage? Let's get to the bottom of this once and for all. Hi, I'm Peter, and you're watching Ossa'm Movies. Still living somewhere you know to be haunted. I'm sure you know the story. A happy family has just moved into a new neighborhood and they're all set to live happily ever after, but the very first night after they've moved in, something spooky starts to stir. Doesn't matter what it is, could be a freaky doll that comes to life, the ghost of a little girl who appears at the end of your bed, or your pet cat is mysteriously found dead. And the next night it just gets worse and worse. So what would any reasonable person do? Well, wouldn't you just leave? But instead of running away, our protagonists always seem to consciously decide to ignore all these warning signs and stay put.
Wow, could you be any stupider?
Before long, there's blood pouring out the shower instead of water. The kids have been kidnapped to a hell dimension by restless spirits, and your vampire neighbors are trying to eat you.
Now you are vampire. And it was Peter. And we're still friends today.
Considering how much it stretches credulity, why do we keep seeing this tired cliche? Well, here's the thing. In a high-quality script, this isn't a problem. If a character stays in a haunted house, it should usually mean that they're out of options. Staying in that accursed place is the only way to survive at that moment, or maybe they're motivated by trying to save someone close. We even have a great example for you. Do you remember the latest adaptation of It, where all the members of the Losers Club have to come back to their native town of Derry? The town has been stalked by the scary Pennywise for decades, and all the kids grew up and left the town, vowing never to return. So why did they come back? Well, firstly, they had the blood oath, and secondly, group member Bev has a vision that everybody would soon die if they don't return to face the monster and their fearful past. That's a pretty powerful motivation. Now let's compare that with how things go wrong in another Stephen King adaptation, the terrifying Pet Sematary. The family of the story starts out living in a pretty weird place where, after burying their dead cat at the nearby pet cemetery, it comes back to them the very next day in perfect health. Well, almost perfect. They soon notice their cat is not the fluffy feline friend they once knew, having transformed into an antisocial and violent little hellion. He's practically turned into a zombie. So what does the main character do? Absolutely nothing, because a cat coming back from the dead is supposedly not that scary or even slightly surprising, even though it's clearly the result of some sort of awful necromancy.
What's up? What's up?
Going into dark, spooky places. In just about every horror movie, there's a moment when somebody decides to go in an attic, a basement, or just a very spooky corner of the house that seems to house the spirit of a vengeful killer. Alone. Do they really have to go there solo, especially after hearing such really weird noises? Picture them wandering cluelessly into the clutches of the killer, all the while announcing their presence by stumbling around shouting, is somebody there? A moment later, something scary pops out, and you know how the rest of it goes.
I'm just screwing with you.
I really want to know what makes any sane person want to investigate scary sounds completely unarmed and by themselves, especially when they're home alone. You'd immediately tell your neighbors or call a friend. Or, hey, here's a bright idea, simply stay out of it.
Who are you gonna call? Someone else.
Then again, if the movie is decent, we get a realistic reason for a person to act like that. For example, they could be bewitched by some supernatural force, or maybe they believe that it's someone they know, like a friend hiding nearby, pranking them, or at the very least a house pet, making that midnight ruckus. Here are two examples, this time from It Chapter 1. Think about when that kid Georgie at the beginning loses his paper boat and then tries to get it back. Who wouldn't want to chat with the lovely clown at the bottom of the drain? Especially when you're barely older than a toddler. The two seem to be getting along famously. He reaches in and boom, it's a done deal.
Here, if you come down, I'll give you a copy of my book, What Happened, by me. Hillary Rodham Clinton.
However, the second example is much worse. Older brother Bill goes down into a dark basement because he thinks he saw the silhouette of his dead brother. Clearly a pretty terrifying situation, but he keeps at it. Why? Because he hopes his brother is still alive? Look at him! You can actually see the fear in his eyes. Whatever happened to classic fight or flight? When you're terrified, you either can't move at all or you run away as fast as you can. What you definitely don't do is wander casually into a spooky basement. And the same thing goes for the woods. I don't care if you love camping, nothing good has ever happened in a forest in a horror movie. So why do people insist in running away from monsters, ghosts, zombies, whatever, by choosing the most unsafe place available? But I guess when your priority is to get as far away as possible from some kind of ghoul, you just need to go wherever your legs take you. Getting trapped of your own volition. As Scream taught us, there's one golden rule. If somebody says, "I'll be right back," then this person will definitely turn up dead sooner or later.
I'll be right back!
It feels like with all the dumb things that people do in horror movies, splitting up is probably the most pointlessly stupid. Splitting up from a group to go off alone makes absolutely no sense, no matter how you try and spin it. Unless, I guess it makes some more sense if you are so fed up with the utterly senseless behavior of your co-stars that you just have to leave. You know, senseless behavior like getting trapped by your own silly decisions. If the person involved isn't a kid, I can't see any excuse for anyone who thinks they can hide from a killer under the bed or by locking themselves in the bathroom. And what's more, their weapon of choice is usually pretty dismal, and they spend their potential last moments just sobbing in self-pity instead of, oh, I don't know, running away? You just look silly. Although, it could be the most reasonable choice for the victim when there's no hope left. The Shining provides us with a perfect example when Jack Nicholson's manic, axe-wielding character comes for his poor victim, portrayed by Shelley Duvall. She's desperately trying to escape, and her first choice is to get out through a tiny bathroom window. She can't make it out, so she's desperately trying to protect herself with a blunt knife, utterly exhausted and with no strength left to fight. By the way, actress Shelley Duvall really was in a terrible state because the director Stanley Kubrick made her do 127 takes just so that it could seem real. But other times, victims just seem very, lazy. It's like they don't want to use the objects around them that could possibly, save their lives. Next time you watch a horror movie, look around the character in question. Odds are there are all sorts of tools they could use to buy time or potentially defend themselves. Or in the case of the movie Saw, why not use that hacksaw to reach for the keys in the middle of the room rather than cut off your own foot? Hiding creepy objects. Have you seen Annabelle? I mean, the doll. Just look at it. Why on earth would you want to keep this creepy thing in your house? Granted, most people in horror movies don't seem to believe in the supernatural, so when they find a creepy doll or an ancient box or a zombie cat, they usually don't care about where it came from and just keep it. Fine, I guess there's no accounting for taste. Decorate your house any way you want. But that can't be it. There are times when characters interact or even play with clearly haunted objects. This happens all too often in science fiction horror movies like Alien or Prometheus. A curious scientist finds a mysterious creature and rather than taking a step back and studying it from a distance, they come over all Steve Irwin and have to get in real close. In Prometheus especially, a character plays with a cobra-like alien like it's a harmless worm until he meets his inevitable and all too predictable demise. It's really similar to what we see in the second season of Stranger Things when Dustin kept a slimy creature from the Upside Down as a pet, and he even gave it a name, calling it Dart. We know that that did not end well, and surely after that first adventure, Dustin would too. It's a small mercy he wasn't hurt by the monster.
Humans taste better than cat, I promise.
What other dull cliches from horror movies drive you insane? Share them with us in the comments below. And as always, thanks for staying awesome.